evening and thank you for joining us. For the second time in 5 days, there are no new COVID-19 cases in the Thunder Bay District today, and the number of active cases continues to fall. 2 new variant of concern cases have been identified. Those are from cases that were already reported. There have now been 184 VOC cases in all. The total number of COVID cases throughout the pandemic remains at 3,331. There are now just 12 active cases. The health unit has also released its weekly vaccination numbers. More than 12,000 shots were administered last week. The vast majority of those, more than 9,200, were second doses. 74% of the eligible population, meaning those 12 and older, have received at least one dose, and more than 25% of the eligible population is now fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, pressure is continuing to mount on the Ford government to speed up the reopening of Ontario's economy. It comes amid word that the province has reached its vaccination target to enter Step 3 of the reopening plan. And adding to the urgency are signs that the province is about to discontinue needed financial supports. Colin DeMello reports.
If the COVID-19 vaccine is the pathway out of the pandemic, the province's largest city is making significant progress.
We have solid momentum here in the City of Toronto. Solid momentum, maybe among the best in the country in terms of just how well we're doing at getting people to come out and get vaccinated.
Toronto isn't alone. Across Ontario, 76% of the adult population has received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, while 25% have received their second shot. Municipalities say now might be the time to slowly step on the gas.
I want the city opened up again as soon as it possibly can be safely done. I want those personal services businesses open. They need to be open. Those people need to be back to work. We want those places open. We want the indoor dining open very soon. We see the experience elsewhere where it is being done successfully. We just want to make sure we can match that success.
Ontario met its Step 2 vaccination targets last Friday. In order to initiate Step 3, the province needs 70 to 80% with one dose and 25% with 2 doses. Those targets were met today. Ontario Solicitor General was asked why the province is still locked down.
Look, I couldn't be happier if we could open sooner, but I also want to do it safely, and we're doing that under the advice and guidance of the Chief Medical Officer of Health and the Health Table. And as soon as we are able to share the news with businesses and the people of Ontario, we will do that.
It means businesses enduring the prolonged shutdown are on the brink.
So many businesses have struggled because of the lockdown.
But Ontario's finance minister is suggesting there won't be any additional financial supports.
The future does look bright. Many economists have come out and expected Ontario to grow by about 5.4% this year. U.S. is growing stronger. And I think the best stimulus for our businesses, is to reopen safely.
Meaning no change, even as the province's fight against the pandemic drastically improves.
The Ford government's latest cabinet shuffle saw change in duties for Greg Rickford. Kenora Rainy River MPP added natural resources and dropped the energy ministry from his portfolio. Corey Nordstrom spoke to Rickford today about the switch and also got his take on a recent dispute with the NDP's Saul Mamakwa.
Greg Rickford is no longer Ontario's energy minister and has added the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry to his portfolio while retaining Northern Development and Mines and Indigenous Affairs. The Conservative MPP believes the change makes sense with the synergies that are present in the ministries he now represents.
It's an economic portfolio, and frankly, one of the largest ones in the province right now. And that's the mandate that I got from the Premier. We want to develop our resources responsibly. We want full partnerships with Indigenous communities, and for the most part, that has gone very well. I'd like to see us be able to say it's going incredibly well.
But Rickford's relationship with his Indigenous Affairs critic looks to have taken a hit recently.
I keep telling them I'm here if you need some advice.
Saul Mamakwa expressed his displeasure with Rickford last week after the Coetanung MPP was not consulted prior to the province's $10 million commitment to investigate residential schools' burial sites, despite Mamakwa being the only member at Queen's Park who went to a residential school.
Saul sent a letter not long before we made our announcement, and I reassured Saul in person that the contents of his letter were, in my view, were fairly reflected, if not very well reflected, in what we intended to roll out.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
A pair of Conservative politicians from the Kenora area are the latest to criticize the federal government for keeping the Canada-U.S. land border closed for at least another month. Federal MP Eric Malillo and Provincial Cabinet Minister Greg Rickford insist Ottawa has let down the tourist sector in northwestern Ontario, which is highly reliant on American visitors. Ryan Benazzo has that story.
On Monday, the federal government relaxed restrictions for permanent residents flying in and out of the country.
Fully vaccinated travelers who are permitted to enter Canada will no longer be subject to the federal requirement to quarantine.
But a Northwestern Ontario opposition member says the Liberals continue to let this region down.
It's really doing nothing to support tourism.
Eric Malillo is upset the Canada-U.S. land border will remain closed to non-essential travel for at least another month. He says that's more time that tourism operators who rely on American customers can't afford to lose.
We're staring down now the second year in a row where we'll have very few, if any, tourists from the United States, and it's just not sustainable.
Operators deserve the federal government, who has exclusive jurisdiction over people coming and going across those borders, to enunciate a plan.
Provincial Minister Greg Rickford says it smacks of a government that doesn't know what it's doing.
If we could hear from the federal government a formal plan that would roll out for cross-border traffic, that would salvage some of the summer and the fall for our operators, that would be a big win for them.
In the absence of such a document, Malillo says he wants more federal money for the tourism sector.
In fairness, they have announced some sector-specific support for tourism in the budget, which the Implementation Act just passed this week. So we've yet to see really the details of what those programs will look like, and I'm definitely going to be watching that closely.
Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
A local anti-racism group will be hosting a demonstration outside of Thunder Bay City Hall tomorrow night. Organizers with Not One More Death are alleging security guards there have been treating some people unfairly, and they're staging a unique protest called Tea with Kokum. 3 grandmothers of various ages and cultures will be chatting at a kitchen table outside of City Hall, having tea and snacks, and talking about what they believe Thunder Bay can do to address problems with systemic racism. Event attendees will be able to listen, join the conversation, and ask questions. Spokesperson Kate Rooks says the problems really became most evident in April when security guards were seen taking photos of people sleeping on a bench. She says people who are racialized, disabled, and homeless who congregate in the area aren't being treated with compassion by the security guards.
We need to begin by recognizing that the people in need are the people that our society has failed. Policing and over surveilling these people is not working. It's wasting money. It's wasting resources, putting people in danger. So we want to have solutions that draw on the community. So our thought was just who better than grandmothers who watch the community grow and are interested in caring rather than punishing.
Rooks says they hope the city of Thunder Bay will adopt this idea as a new policy. The demonstration is scheduled to begin at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening and will also be live streamed through the Not One More Death Facebook page. The family in Nipissing is still in shock following a weekend house fire that destroyed nearly everything they owned. This is the scene now following the fire Sunday morning on 1st Street in Nipissing. The blaze broke out in the garage but then spread to the home, causing major damage. A woman and her grandsons managed to escape unharmed. Since then, the family has been receiving a large amount of donations from through a special bank account set up to help them get back on their feet. The homeowner's daughter, Kayla Kopp, says there's been a lot of love and support shown.
As good as you can do when every piece of your life is taken from you in an hour and a half. They're holding out because they have a lot of support from family, friends, our community, our Indian band, Red Rock Indian Band.
There is still no word on the cause of the fire. Anyone wishing to make a monetary donation can do so by sending an e-transfer to hepner@bell.net. Roughly 50 months after the rural and northern immigration pilot kicked off here in Thunder Bay, the program, designed to connect new immigrants to employers, has helped to attract or retain nearly 200 people. The work got underway in earnest last April. Since that time, job offers have been extended to 123 applicants in healthcare, food services, construction, and other fields. The number of new Thunder Bay residents jumps to 193 after their immediate family members are factored in. Emily Lozon serves as the program coordinator for the Thunder Bay CEDC. She provided an update during today's Magnetic North Conference on Population Growth hosted by the Northern Policy Institute. Lozon says about 68% of program applicants in 2020 were recent graduates of Confederation College or Lakehead University, and she says there are benefits to supplying these students with a path to permanent residency.
Working with local temporary residents, we're seeing people that really have lived experience in Thunder Bay, have found community connections, they're contributing, they have ties. They really want to live in this community and make it their permanent home. We have a lot of people that have come through this program that have told their friends or their family members about the program, and then we've worked with them as well.
54 of the job offerings have been made in 2021. The program can accept up to 150 applicants this year. The rural and northern immigration pilot is scheduled to end after 2022, and employers or individuals seeking more information can contact the CEDC.